How is there feeling there inside?
It's good that I'm not claustrophobic.
When we first saw them, we were like, wow, cool. We have to try firing this one, and that one too.
So I'm standing right now at the entrance of the Donetsk Oblast. Since the beginning of the war that started in 2014, it has become a place of remembrance for all the fallen soldiers that died in this conflict. It's also a dire reminder that the conflict is ongoing, and this is also where the French-trained 155th Brigade out of Kiev has been deployed. The 155th Brigade was supposed to be Ukraine's new crown jewel. The brigade, 4,500 men strong, returned fully equipped with French weapons, including VAB armored personnel carriers, AMX-10 armored fighting vehicles, Caesar self-propelled howitzers, and Milan anti-tank missile systems. All eyes were on Anne of Kiev. Yet the brigade was immediately deployed in the front of Pokrovsk, and problems appeared with soldiers going AWOL and the brigade being dismantled to reinforce others. Upon first contact, roughly 1,700 soldiers reportedly went AWOL. However, the investigation is still ongoing. The exact figure is unknown, and some soldiers are returning, servicemen told us. Our first stop, a unit driving a French-made and donated APC. The landscape around us is the same as everywhere in Donbass. Mud, death, and desolation.
This one is driving a VAB, Véhicule d'avant blindé in French, which was given by France to the French train Anne of Kiev Brigade. And here's what the soldiers had to say, well, about this vehicle, but also about what's happening on the ground and what happened to their brigade.
It's really fast. You can get in, get out, evacuate quickly. Compared to Soviet-era vehicles, the advantage is its speed. It accelerates well and handles smoothly. And the armor, it holds up. We took a hit, but it didn't fail. Is it thick armor? A centimeter of metal plus ceramic, about 1.5 to 2 centimeters in total. Against what kind of threats? A mine hit us, an explosive blast, but it held up. Plus, we provide fire support, like the .50 caliber machine gun, which can intimidate the enemy and give our guys a chance to either withdraw from a position or move in and secure it. There are some drawbacks, but they're not significant. The terrain here makes it difficult for any vehicle to pass. This is wheeled equipment, but considering that, it actually handles these conditions surprisingly well.
The VAB can reach up to 100 kilometers per hour on normal roads and 80 kilometers per hour on dirt ones. Its composite protection and speed make it ideal to bring men and evacuate them on this front line. It's also equipped with a 12.7mm Browning M2 machine gun of almost 2 kilometers range to clear the surroundings in case of a firefight. Still, the unit had to add some electronic warfare and a cage against Russian FPV drones. But those don't stop the fear.
I don't really know. I mean, it's scary. The first thing you feel is fear. Yeah, and I don't know how to describe it. It's hard to put into words.
Down some hidden basement, we meet B2, the 27-year-old unit commander, who proudly shows us the group picture of the brigade, taken in France during their training. These days are far compared to this front line, where danger lurks on every road.
Those Russian bastards are trying to control the main logistics and supply routes. There are primary supply routes and additional ones where equipment can be unloaded. This depth ranges from around 100 kilometers to 50, down to 10 to 15 kilometers from the front line. They're constantly trying to cut them off, block them, and keep watch, just like we do with theirs.
Despite the short training, his team learned everything from scratch in France.
We learned to conduct evacuations, transport ammunition and personnel, and secure positions. The Browning machine gun mounted on the VAB played a key role in covering our positions, helping to hold the line and repel attacks. It allowed us to react quickly, maneuver in, engage the enemy, and pull back efficiently. Whether it was delivering ammunition or supporting troops, the VAB and its Browning MG proved to be essential assets on the battlefield.
His men didn't have previous combat experience, but B2, the commander, had already fought before the training. He believes mixing less trained men on the battlefield with more experienced soldiers could improve their fighting skills.
My guys had no combat experience, but if you train them properly, explain everything clearly, and guide them the right way, it works. They became real fighters. Even those who are now moving in pairs, covering each other, started without experience. The same goes for the guys who trained with us in France. When they got here, fought in the trenches, and stood alongside me on the front line, they gained real combat experience.
After the VAB crew, we meet Buba, a 28-year-old scout who agreed to talk about his training and experience before it, or rather lack of it. He's been in the army for 6 months.
Did you have any combat experience before training? No. How was the training in France? Was it enough or not? It would have been better if the training course had been longer, but we had been given good skills. Do you think the training in France was adapted to our war? Not at all. Why? Over there, artillery is not shooting you. They're not using drones. It's just automatic rifles they were playing with. But here, those kind of games won't fly anymore.
No training, whatever its length and hardship, could prepare fresh soldiers with no experience of the battlefield for the Pokrovsk front.
This isn't a joke. Some people might not be mentally prepared. Some might not be physically ready.
The 155th Brigade is not only equipped with French weapons, but also with about 30 German-made Leopard 2A4 tanks from Poland. Now, just so you understand, the Brigade out of Kiev is not only comprised of soldiers who trained in France, but also in Poland. These soldiers trained in Poland and now are fighting in the direction of Pokrovsk. They're actually getting ready to start the tank. We discussed about NATO standards, how they train, is it enough compared to the reality of the battlefield? Okay, it's way bigger than I imagined.
Yeah.
I mean, like that?
Yeah, it's the biggest place in this tank. It's a larger place. So better. I recommend. Yeah. But your як буде шолом? Helmet better, like close because it's a little bit small.
Yeah,
Hole.
That's right.
How was your feeling there?
It's alright.
How was your feeling there inside?
It's good that I'm not claustrophobic.
No, it's the largest place here. So like for one people,
that's alright.
One person. Yeah. It's a little bit big place. In here, like sitting shooter.
Okay.
And this is my place.
Okay.
I got commander of this tank.
So how many people do you need in this tank? You have you, the commander, four. Okay, so
Yeah.
one commander,
Shooter, driver, and loader.
Well, it's a 120mm gun, NATO standard. There's a large supply of ammunition, which is really great. And there's variety, something for every need, so to speak. There are the classic rounds, and then there are some with special features. When we first saw them, we were like, wow, cool. We have to try firing this one, and that one too. Against what targets? Infantry? At the moment, we're working against infantry. Basically, leveling tree lines from start to finish. But it all depends on the combat mission. Sometimes you roll in and completely shell the entire tree line. Other times you fire 3 rounds, enemy artillery starts hitting back. So you pull back and lob a couple more rounds at them on the way out.
Such tanks are crucial in this direction, where the Russians are assaulting every day with all kinds of troops, from paratroopers to basic infantry.
We can see that they're not far from Pokrovsk, right? If you're asking about the situation, I can say that over the past month, it has worsened slightly.
Орієнтовно вона трошки погіршується.
They have a massive number of troops that are thrown into the meat grinder, and that pressure is real.
Воно давить.
The German-made Leopard 2A4 can reach speeds of up to 72 kilometers per hour. It has been upgraded with Ukrainian-made Contact 1 explosive reactive armor, enhancing its ability to withstand modern anti-tank threats.
Вона дуже точна.
It's very accurate, really, extremely accurate. As for drawbacks, well, I'm not sure. Maybe one thing, if we compare it to Ukrainian tanks. Ukrainian tanks are designed specifically for warfare in Ukraine. Foreign tanks, I'd say, don't always fit as well. For example, the Abrams weighs around 60 tons, and sometimes it sinks into the ground. Same can happen with this one.
І він деколи просідає по тому ґрунті.
Their training lasted only a month, and Hrin says 3 months would have been perfect. But as short as it was well adapted to the reality of the field.
Хотілося б трошки...
I'd honestly like it to be a bit longer, I admit.
Оскільки...
Our training was super intense.
Суперінтенсивне, зразу сказали, що...
From the very beginning, they made it clear that we were training for real combat.
в наших інтересах.
I'd start them off in areas where the fighting isn't as intense, where they could gradually get used to explosions, small-scale special operations, and the overall combat environment. Even small experiences would help them adapt.
After the controversies arose, President Volodymyr Zelensky reportedly halted the formation of new brigades while ordering new recruits to join existing units. He ordered investigations on the newly created ones, while the military insisted those who left could return without facing penalties. Zelensky also announced structural reforms which, if applied at the lower level, are crucial to try and preserve the lives of these soldiers who dream of coming back to a peaceful home and seeing their kids again.
I want my child to live in a free country and not have to hide from shaheds or suicide drones. We see the front advancing, moving forward. If we do nothing, our loved ones will be forced out of Ukraine. But first and foremost, I have a little daughter. I just want her to grow up in peace and safety.